This video will show how to use Noodle Tools to cite the articles and other things that you have found for your paper. So you'll be starting from the library's homepage, again, www.sbu.edu/library. And over here on the right-hand side, when we scroll down, right here in the center are some tips for citations and a link to our citation format tool, which is called Noodle Tools. For APA users, we also have a Word template. What this Word template is set up for is it will show you exactly how you should be setting up your paper, and it gives you things like what the title page should look like with a running head. This is just a little snippet of it. It has the paging in. Then your second page gets rid of the running head. It has the spacing exactly right. And then how you use this is you just click on it and take out the areas that you need to fill in with your own information, such as the title. And then you would take out the template wording and then start typing your paper. So that's what that does. Our tip sheets go out to the Purdue OWL website or the Online Writing Lab, and they have redesigned their page, all of their pages recently. So you're going to see it looks a little different than when you might first have seen it. But they still do have down here a sample paper. These are very interesting things to take a look at too, especially if you're trying to use a type of citation that you haven't used before. So for example, here is the title page, and it shows like everything you're supposed to be doing and explains it in these boxes that are linked to information from the manual. So that's what the tips are. They do have more tip sheets than those. Those are the ones that are most commonly used here on campus. There's a DOI locator. DOI is a digital object identifier that is used in the APA format. So if you don't have a DOI for an article and you're wondering if one exists, you can use this Crossref tool. And then finally, we're going to take a look at Noodle Tools, which does cover APA, MLA, and Chicago Turabian styles. So once you click on the link to Noodle Tools, when you're on campus, it will automatically authenticate to our subscription. So if you don't already have a login, we suggest that you register for that on campus. If you, for some reason, cannot do that, we can give you an institutional code that will help you authenticate to our subscription from off campus. But it's just much easier to just come in here and register when you are physically on campus. Then once you have set up your account, you're going to sign in with your own credentials. So whatever you set up as your login and password, it isn't a good idea to just use your Bonaventure email as your login, because that is unique to you, and your login needs to be a unique login on the Noodle Tools system. Once you sign in, it's going to show you all of the things that you have stored here. To start a new project, you come up and click on New Project. You give it a name, you tell it what format, and you always leave it on Advanced. For the purposes of this video, I'm not going to take the time to set up a new project. I'm going to go into one that I've already set up as an example. This is an APA example. And you'll notice the dashboard that it comes up with. It allows you to do things like track your research question, the history of your project. You can share with others. So if you're ever working on a group project, you can share the work of putting the bibliography together or have someone else check it. You can do note cards. You can link out to Google Docs to write your paper. But sources is really the meat of what Noodle Tools does. And that's why that button is right here in the middle. When you click on that, it's going to show the stored sources for your project. If you want to create a new one, you click on Create New Citation and answer just a couple of quick questions, and it's going to give you a form to fill in. So for example, if you have something that is printed or in hand, or it is a PDF, you can use the print, and then you just figure out, okay, here's journal. If you click on that, it's going to show you the journal one. Or for example, website. Look at all of the things that it's going to help you figure out how to cite. Things like blogs or emails or web pages, things that are difficult to figure out how you would actually put this together, including things like court cases, U.S. Constitution, things you might be citing for your paper for this class. So this is a very helpful thing to have. But let me come in here and take a real quick look at what it looks like. I'm just going to Options Edit to bring up the form for one that I've already done. This is an example for a PDF article that I got from a journal. And again, we are in APA format here. The screens look very similar though for MLA. So once I click into a field, it gives me on the right hand side context sensitive help for that particular field. So in this case, it's telling me how to format it. In the article title, it tells me how I should capitalize. If I've done something incorrectly, it's going to flag that for me. So in this case, I shouldn't have capitalized effect. And when I mouse over my caution sign, it tells me that that word should not be capitalized unless it's a proper noun or acronym. So it's not going to make the change for you, but it allows you to take a look at it and make the choice. And once you've changed it, it takes care of that. One thing that though you need to do is fill out all of the fields that make sense for what you're citing. So the DOI should be filled in. If you do not have a DOI, then you're going to need to cite that as coming from a database and use the helps that are there. For example, that's a field, English translation of article's title, that you wouldn't ordinarily use. So it's fine to leave that blank. But otherwise, you're going to be filling those in. A lot of periodicals are not special issues and that type of thing. So you can leave that blank. But you should be filling in DOI, author, title, paging, name of journal, volume and year information, and that type of thing. When you're finished, you can click on Save to put it into your list. You can use it to do an annotation. And if you find you're not using this after you've put it in, you can come in and uncheck this box so that you're not deleting it from your list of references, but it's not going to show on your references page. That's what this box is for. By default, they're always included, but sometimes you'll find that you're not using one. You'll notice that it puts it in alphabetical order for you. Another thing people don't realize this does, under Options, in-text reference is a very useful thing, also known as a parenthetical reference. It helps you figure out how you would cite something while you're writing. So here it shows you how it would look at the end of the sentence. Notice that this was an article that had a lot of authors, but here it tells us just to use Kelly et al. In the year because it knows the APA rules that is explained here. So the first couple of times you look at this for the citation style that you use most, read through this so you know what kind of information you can find. You don't have to remember it all, you just need to remember it's here. It solves a lot of problems for you, like the somewhat complex rules about multiple authors in APA. It's all summarized right here. It helps you figure out thorny things like how do you distinguish between works by authors with the same last name, or the same author with the same publication date. So there's lots and lots of tips here that people don't realize Noodle Tools helps you with, and it's all right here. So I encourage you to take a look at this when you're using Noodle Tools. And then finally, when you have everything in, you're going to use Print Export up here and export it out to your word processor, which is probably Word or something like it. And you can see here that this is a little cut off because of the way we're doing our video, but everything is right here. It is ready to cut and paste into your paper. So, and as you can see, it just exports it as a docx. You do have other options though, RTF. If you don't use Word, you can export it out to Google Docs, and you can do other formatting for it. So that's what you will find in Noodle Tools. Definitely highly recommended, and something that will make your life easier so you're not sitting there struggling to figure out how to cite when you could be using that time to actually write your paper.